Welcome to another episode of the CV Weekly Podcast. Today we're going to be talking to photographer Chris Miller, and then we will be talking with Skitzo Attack and have a performance from them as well. This episode is sponsored by Desert Fox Bar, and let's get right to it.
The Desert Fox is a cocktail lounge with a lively crowd and a charming atmosphere. With a digital jukebox and live music often, Desert Fox is the place.
Chris, first off, I want to thank you for giving us the footage, the new footage for our opening of the podcast with the aerial shots. We really appreciate that. It kind of adds an extra texture to the show. So thank
Truly
you.
my pleasure.
Thank you very
Always.
much. Yeah. So I have a lot of questions for you, and we'll get to as many as we can. First of all, I want to start off by kind of how you got started. I know you began shooting golf courses and weddings, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And then you really wanted to shoot musicians. And tell us a little bit about how that came about, you getting into that.
Sure. I was born with an entrepreneurial spirit from my dad. I always wanted to work for myself. And I tried a couple of different things, into my 30s. But I also had this creative itch, My first career in IT, it was, I always liked the technology stuff. It was cool. But with computers, it either works or it doesn't. Right, Phil? It's on or it's off. There's no, no creativity in it. I mean, there are certain areas where, but that's a whole different topic. And so I was dabbling in photography. I was an IT professional, and I bought the first digital camera that ever came out. And it was a Canon Digital Rebel. This was probably 20 years ago, and Photoshop was like a new thing.
Right.
And I realized I could make money doing it too, So it was like, that was my epiphany, was I have this advanced hardware and software that I can also be creative with and earn my own money. It was like, this is it. So the first at least few years of my career, I was, photographing anything that anybody would pay me to take pictures of. I enjoyed landscape photography, so I kind of parlayed that into photographing golf courses, right? Practicing landscape photography on golf courses. But I've also been extremely passionate about music. As you know, I love music. I love rock and roll, love live music.
You've done a lot of our stuff, the CV Music Awards, our showcases. Yeah.
Those are always like my favorite, events to photograph is live music, musicians performing. And I am a rock and roll star in my own mind,
Well, you are in our mind too.
In my office. I've always been a passionate, mediocre guitar player. A period in my 20s, I really wanted to be a professional musician. But I just didn't have it, whatever that it is that, musicians are born with. Right. I wasn't. I just happened to be born with the photography.
Your instrument is your camera.
It is. And so when I was, starting to get a little bit of work in photography, I had been wondering, like, how could I, use my camera, to get, that vibe, to get on stage, basically, to be a part of the music industry and be around live music, but with my instrument, which was my camera. And I had signed up for Palm Springs Photo Festival my first year out here in the desert. And it was my first year as a professional photographer. And one of the things that they offered at the Palm Springs Photo Festival were portfolio reviews. You could pick a portfolio review package. Mm-hmm. And they had this incredible list of people that you chose 5. You got to choose 5 people. And they were like major magazine editors, right? There's a typical thing, a typical person on that list. And you got 30 minutes with each one to sit down and show them your portfolio, And one of the names on there that I didn't recognize was Henry Diltz, but it had his bio, and he was Crosby, Stills, and Nash's photographer, The Doors,
Oh, wow.
Jimi Hendrix, the Eagles. Like he's
All
done
the classics.
like so many classic rock album covers,
Yeah.
like it was him. And I was like, I didn't know the guy, I hadn't heard of him until then. And I'm like, I gotta pick this guy because I just want
Right.
to sit down and talk to him, And I did, and he was so kind and so gracious. And the first thing was I walk in with my portfolio, a box of like wedding prints and sunset photos and
Right.
stuff, And he said, "Let me see what you got." And I'm like, "Well, that's not really what I'm here for. You can look at it if you want, but what and I told him basically what I told you is like, I've always wanted to be a part of music, and I'd like to, hear your advice on how I could parlay my skills with my camera into, a career, adjacent to the music industry." And he said, first and foremost, don't do it for the money. There's no money in it. You got to do it for the love of the music.
Wow.
I said, okay, check. I got that. And he said, and most importantly, if you're okay with that, then most importantly is to find a way to get where all the other photographers are not. He said, if you go to any concert or any music festival where there's photographers, they're all going to be in the pit. You get a photo band and you stand where all the other photographers stand.
Right. So you're all kind of getting the same shot.
So everybody's getting the same shot.
Right.
And he described how, like Crosby, Stills, and Nash's first album cover, he was a musician. I don't know if it was banjo or harmonica, something like that. But he befriended all these musicians in San Francisco. And hanging out with Crosby, Stills, and Nash playing banjo on the front porch. And he actually snapped that album cover because he was just there hanging out with his buddies,
wow,
on the porch. And he did the same thing with Hendrix and Morrison and a lot of these guys. And he has an incredible gallery of Morrison Hotel galleries still around. He has this incredible archive of a lot of backstage and behind the scenes photos, right?
Yeah.
So he was literally, because he was friends with these guys, first and foremost, he was going backstage, going on the tour bus, on stage during the performances. That was another big thing, right? Like not standing where the press guy is, but standing behind your buddy, the guitar player, the singer, or whatever, getting, the other shot. And he said, you have to get where the other photographers are not. And the only way to do that is you got to be buddies with the band. And so, check, I got that. And so I started, I was new in town, and I was introduced to Mario Lawley from Fatso Jetson.
Yep.
And
Desert legend.
He was doing a Rock for Isaiah benefit concert out at Desert Moon Ranch. And this might have been 20 years ago.
I remember that.
And I asked him if I could photograph it for him, and he said, we don't have a budget. And I said, well, I was told that's okay. Right. But it was a benefit concert, for Isaiah. Like, yeah, I'll photograph this benefit concert. And I went to that, and it was the first time meeting, so many desert legends.
Yeah.
John Garcia, Herb Leno, and then Mario and Bruce Fessier started that Desert Rock at the IPAC series.
Yeah. That was awesome.
I was just doing what Henry told me to do, just buddying up with the bands. And I got to be friends with I met the Pedestrians at that show, Half Astro, Waxy, so many, legendary desert rock bands.
Right.
I started hanging out with them. I said, can I come to your rehearsal? And, talking to them about the music, because I love talking about music. And developed friendships with these bands and became what Henry told me that I needed to become.
Do. Yeah.
And that Desert Rock at the IPAC series grew, and I got the kind of photos that Henry taught me how to get. The Pedestrians were huge for me for a long time. I was on stage with them at every show and backstage, and and going to rehearsals, and it got to be where the desert bands just got to know me, like, hey, there's Chris, come on, Chris, come up on stage. And they loved it. And I worked on some unique techniques, like using flash mixed with long exposure to get these kind of more artistic stills versus the standard snapshot.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to develop some new techniques and things, and it was the portfolio that I built working with Mario and Bruce at the Desert IPAC that got Golden Voice's attention. They saw that portfolio and gave me a photo pass for Coachella. It was the first Stagecoach. That was my first foray with Golden Voice. And I think it was 2008 maybe. And I worked my way up on the with Golden Voice on their photo team, for 15 years, and subsequently, they've had me travel the country photographing venues and festivals coast to coast for years.
Yeah, so that was a good in right there
Yeah.
with Coachella. So tell us a little bit about some of your Coachella stories.
It's kind of funny. I look back at the early days of Coachella, admirably. Like, it was exciting back then. I was there when Rage Against the Machine and Tool played, and the Beastie Boys, and all that.
All the great bands.
Even Red Hot Chili Peppers, Radiohead, The Cure. And the wonderful thing about shooting for Golden Voice particularly it drove the press photographers crazy, because shooting for Golden Voice, they didn't want the photo from the pit either. I mean, they needed the photo from the pit for press or whatever, but I was shooting marketing images, to promote the festival.
Yeah.
So the money shot,
a little different.
Yeah, the money shot that I was always after for Golden Voice, for Coachella and Stagecoach and many other festivals across the country, it was typically on stage, showing the atmosphere. It'd be the back of the singer's head, or the back sides of the band, but the shot is the Ferris wheel and the sunset and the crowds and the mountains, like capturing the iconic views of Coachella, which don't happen from the photo pit. They typically happen from the stage or from the lifts. We did a lot of lift shots and then onto drone shots, where we were getting the big wide scenics, because shooting for marketing is not the same
thing.
The same goal as shooting for press. The press photographers need to get the face of the star. The star is the star of the photo, whereas for marketing, the star of the photo is the atmosphere, the scene, the energy.
Well, you kind of became the photographer of the desert, the go-to. Shall I say the Annie Leibovitz of the valley?
That's a little much, Tracy.
Well, I can say it.
Thank you.
So now you don't do Coachella anymore? You retired from doing that, or?
I did, yeah, a few years ago. I got older and Coachella got older. It was,
or younger.
Golden Voice got bought out by AEG.
Yeah.
And that turned out to be a remarkable thing for me too. I got in with AEG, and they have venues all over the country. I've traveled.
That's right. Yeah.
I've traveled the country photographing venues for them. From New York City to Seattle and Dallas and everywhere in between. So the relationship with AEG was positive. I don't want to sound like I'm knocking it.
Right. Right.
I'm not. I'm grateful to AEG, as are the guys at Golden Voice, because they brought so much to the table. But the other thing that they brought to the table, between you and me, is corporate structure.
Yeah.
They brought corporate structure to the festival. The sponsorships and the processes and the procedures and all those things that I didn't want to be when I wanted to be an artist.
Right.
And the work as a photographer for Golden Voice got more regimented. The early days were certainly a lot more fun. It was just, they would just give me a photo pass and just go out and shoot
Do
whatever's
your
cool.
thing.
Shoot whatever's cool,
Yeah.
you know. And
Then it became more regimented.
It's not like that
Yeah.
anymore. You know, there's sponsorship lists and shot lists and
Mm-hmm.
all those things that come with all that money, you know.
Right.
And then also, again, not just to knock it, it's been an incredible thing for Coachella. But while that was happening, I was also getting older. You know, I was 30 years old when I started it and didn't have any kids. You know, and fast forward 20 years later to 50 years old and 3 kids, and on top of that, there are a lot of very talented young photographers out there, you know, that are stiff competition as well, you know. And those photographers don't have the same requirements that I do to speak of, you know. Like, I remember about 5 years ago when I knew I was nearing the end, I had a full-time media company that I was running and a family that I was running. And Golden Voice always rents a house for the photo team.
Right.
You know, most of them come from New York or LA, right?
Yeah.
They're not local photographers.
I know.
I think I've been, myself and Lance Gerber, I think, are the only, you know, local photographers maybe that have ever worked on that crew for any considerable period of time. And I remember one day, like, we'd had a 10:30 a.m. call time. And I'd been up since 6 a.m., you know, processing and delivering commercial photos and changing diapers and, you know, living my life, you know, that doesn't stop for Coachella.
Right.
You know, we get in there at 10:30 a.m. to the trailer for the pre-production meeting, and everybody's, oh, what are you doing? How you doing? And those guys were like, yeah, we stayed up till like 2 o'clock in the morning smoking weed and playing Xbox. Woke up about 20 minutes ago, you know, and here I am like, oh, really? Yeah, that's great. I've been working and changing diapers for the last 4 hours, you know.
Well, a little bit different.
Yeah, the times they were a changing, you know, for me. And so it was cool, you know, when I was 30 and not as cool. You know, at my old age.
Well, so now you have 1 Point Media Group.
Yeah.
And that was a little swag here.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about that, because I know you do a lot of aerial photography and you're shooting real estate, you know, homes and properties development and stuff like that too. And
yeah, so I started, this goes back to my lifestyle really with my family. My kids are still of school age, but you know, 10 years ago when my boy, who's 17-year-old, is a 17-year-old now, when he started going to school, and then our next kid started going to school, it was nights and weekends were the time that I had with him.
Yeah.
You know, so even when I was photographing weddings back then, you know, to give up an entire Saturday or a festival, give up an entire weekend, much less 3, you know, giving up 3 weekends in the spring with my kids, my wife and kids.
It's a lot.
That's a big ask, you know. And a lot of the work that I was doing in the entertainment industry, not just Coachella, but, you know, I've been house photographer at the show and at the, you know, a few of the casinos around town and shooting events like your events, you know, and weddings, whatever it is, those are always all nights and weekends. And the more connected I got to my family life, the less
you wanted to do
the less I was drawn to
to do all that.
Like, you know,
because things change.
Yeah, when you're 30 years old, you know, to get paid $300 to go out on a Saturday night is awesome.
Yeah,
but not
when you're 50 and you've got 3 kids at home and a wife.
So anyway, long answer. You know, I'm getting there.
Oh, I know.
And
it's
so
fun. The journey's fun though.
And then coincidentally, I also kind of came to understand, because I've done a lot of portrait photography too, and I've come to understand that I really photographing people isn't my favorite genre. You know, I like photographing. I prefer photographing things that don't have opinions of themselves or the way they look.
Ooh,
you know, like homes and golf courses.
I can't talk back.
Exactly. You know, homes, golf courses, restaurants, food, hotels, that kind of thing, where it's more of a, an environment where I can take my time and control the lighting and not have to hear about, whatever, the subject doesn't like about him or herself. So I started, the entrepreneur in me kicked in again, and I started trying to figure out, what it was. And I had done some real estate work and really enjoyed shooting properties and architecture, any kind of thing, that nature. And then I realized that real estate is a business that happens, it's not 9 to 5, but it's a lot closer to 9 to 5 than the entertainment industry.
Exactly.
A lot closer.
A lot closer. Yeah.
So, and the wonderful thing about it too is it's Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday. There's regular work, even in the commercial hotel industry, restaurants, golf courses, that kind of stuff that I also do. That's seasonal here.
Yeah. And I've seen some of your shoots when you post, like on Facebook or what have you, and just the tours, the 3D tours that you do, and it's fantastic. I mean, yeah.
Thank you.
It definitely would get somebody to want to go into that home, to want to buy that home.
Yeah, that's the idea. That's the idea. And so I'm still building, and I brought in a business partner, One Point Media. Blake is my right hand man, and we run One Point together, and we're building a one-stop shop for media for people that own or rent homes. We do a lot of vacation rentals, also Airbnb. Do the hip Instagram videos for Airbnb rentals and that kind of thing too. But every morning and from sun up to sundown, we're out, capturing media of homes primarily.
What's the most jaw-dropping aerial shot that you've ever gotten?
Well, I don't know, as one I sent to you guys, actually, the one that comes to mind, because I just saw it because I was working on that project for you, but the Kellogg house above Joshua Tree, that one?
Yeah.
I got to film that for Oliver Peoples, and we did it at sunrise. And I was there at 5 o'clock in the morning I was shooting all the aerials for an Oliver Peoples commercial, and I had never been to that house before. And the incredible architecture surrounded by incredible mountains, complemented by this amazing sunrise. It was one of my favorite aerial shots. But back to the Coachella, we were talking about a photo. If there was a photo that kind of like a lot changed for me at Coachella when this was maybe 2010. They were just starting to get big on the art, and Poetic Kinetics was early in their stage of development for projects, and they made I don't remember if it was called the Orchid. I'm frustrated I can't remember the name, but they took this huge boom lift, a construction lift, and they decorated it and made a remarkable lighted orchid. I mean, like the petal span on it was like 40 feet. It was huge, right?
Wow.
All LED lit and beautiful. And then because it was a lift, it would go up and the orchid would go up, right? And I don't remember whose idea it was, but some producer or executive asked me if I would get in it to take a photograph. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a cool idea. Let's try that. And I did it. I went up and I rode in this orchid up, and I think it was 80 feet or whatever.
Oh, wow. That sounds cool.
Took sunset photos of Coachella while it was going, but I was in the middle of the field up at 80 feet high. And that was a major moment. That photo
I'm sure.
changed everything. Fast forward 15 years later, they have a whole crew of lifts that come in and they're positioned. And that was a big part of my responsibility for Coachella for 5 years or so was, I got to pick where they would bring in, a bunch of those, and I got to put them around the field wherever I wanted. And we'd have a schedule. We're going to have one at main stage at 7 when so-and-so artist comes up. I'm going to be up there. And then over, we'll put one at the Do Lab and, get that at different times or whatever. But that one photo that I took from the Orchid that one night, that was
kind of changed everything.
Almost a whim, And now they use a lot of drones for that still, but they still use the lifts too for video, obviously. So
So if photography had a soundtrack, what genre?
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Of course.
I love energy. That's one of my favorite things about being at a great show, particularly a rock show, is energy. Yeah. And there's just nothing better to me than being at a show and feeling the energy, and so I always try to capture that if I have the opportunity to photograph energy.
I like that.
That's when the magic happens.
That's the magic right there. Yeah. So if somebody wanted to contact you through your business, how would they reach you?
onepointmediagroup.com.
Okay.
It's a mouthful. onepointmediagroup.com. It's hard to find a web address that isn't taken anymore.
Yeah. It's up on the screen. We'll have it.
Thank you.
Right there for people to see.
The website has online booking. You can book a photographer to photograph a home, do photo, video of a home. And we have coverage all the way from San Diego to LA to Orange County to the desert.
Sounds good.
Serving realtors primarily. Realtors are my target.
Okay.
Talking to you, realtors.
All right, my dear. Well, thank you so much for coming in. I really enjoyed talking to you. We could talk for another hour, seriously, because I didn't even get to some of my questions. But anyway, thank you so much for coming in, and thank you for letting us use the footage for the podcast.
It's truly my pleasure. I'm so happy to. Thank you for having me, Tracy.
Thank you. Chris Miller, everybody.
Nestled in the heart of Yucca Valley, Mojave Gold offers a curated experience of exceptional cuisine and unforgettable live music with intimate sets and incredible sound. Their venue was built for connection to the music, the moment, and each other.
And we are here on location for a special interview for the Coachella Valley Weekly podcast. And I'm here in studio with Skitzo Attack. You guys just performed for us 2 amazing songs. That was amazing. So how are you guys feeling?
Full of energy. Yeah, I feel great.
So I want to give you guys a chance to introduce yourself to our listeners. So go around and just tell your names and what you do in the band.
All right. My name is Jonathan, songwriter, singer, guitar player.
My name's Ethan. I play guitar and I make disruptions.
Tyler, I play bass.
Ethan, I play drums, make a lot of noise.
So first of all, it was a lot of fun watching you guys. Like I can tell that you really get along well and you're having fun with the music you're playing. Take us back to kind of the origin story of your band. How did this all start?
We were sitting around smoking some weed and we were listening to 93.7 and some crazy lady called in telling them that, oh, your radio station sucks and I think you guys should give up and all this stuff. And the DJ said, hey lady, don't have a Skitzo Attack. So we thought, oh, that'd be a great name for a band. And then next thing you know, I picked up Ethan and his amazing guitar playing. And things, we got other Ethans. So I got 2 Ethans in the band. So it could be a little confusing, but you can handle it. Everything just went off from there. Whiskey A Go-Go, Rainbow Room. It was a really good time. Then I became a dad, and everything kind of slowed down, but now we're back at it. All right.
Right on. I'm Ethan Vega. I moved here from Orange County 20 years ago. The first person I met was a construction worker that was friends with John. And after about a year of just hearing about John, he was like, John wants to meet you. And so I was in 20 years ago. We started playing together. And it's been very bizarre the whole time, for sure. And I know Ethan was here before I got here, because John introduced me to him. So no, yeah, we're the Ethans. And here's Tyler, he's the new guy.
Hi. Yeah, so I'm originally from the East Coast. I've been out here a few years, Desert Inject. Moved out here, started looking to play some music. John was actually one of the first people that I was playing music with out here through some other musicians that I started with. People rotated in and out, but since 5-6 years now, it's been me and John at least.
Helped it out. I'm so proud of you. Thank you.
All right, I'm Ethan Olson. Moved out here over 20 years ago. Met John through an ex-girlfriend, and then he kept on asking me to play drums for him all the time. I'm like, I'm too busy. And I got fired from the job. I'm like, okay, I got time. Let's play. And then we started playing a whole lot of cool music together, a whole lot of cool places. We had a lot of good time. So, and we're aiming to do more.
And it really is a lot of cool music, powerful riffs, a lot of energy. How would you describe your sound to anyone who's never heard you play before?
That's a good question. People say we sound like the Minutemen, but they sound a little punk rock. But I think with Ethan and Tyler and Ethan's influence, like, it's gotten a lot more mellower than how when we started. It was a lot of distortion, a lot of noise. Now we seem more organized and tight. Tyler brings a certain dynamic to the band of professionalism, like for note and stuff like that. And then we got a little bit of crazy, we got a little bit of dum-dum, and we got the good looks. So yeah, we're on our way.
Yeah, you guys are the complete package then, right?
When you mention this guy, this is him. This is special. This guy will not quit. He won't stop. You can't stop him. We've tried.
You've tried.
This is what it sounds like when you can't stop him, and you better just get ready or get out of the way, pretty much.
Thanks, bro.
Well, you guys sound like a force to be reckoned with, to be sure. Are there any artistic influences that you guys have as a band? Any kind of musicians or bands that you kind of look up to or try to craft your sound off of?
Yeah, when I grew up out here, it was Josh Omni, right? Everybody wanted to play like Queens of the Stone Age, but it was Caius back then. I actually worked at the pet store from Scotty and his wife, and I always thought they were so cool, and I always wanted to be like that, So that was a big influence for me. What about you?
My favorite guitar player in the world is Alex Skolnick from Testament and the Alex Skolnick Trio. No, it's pretty bad. Like in my yearbook, in high school, 40 years ago, it was I put that as my name in the yearbook, and I think I might have scared Alex Skolnick at some point because I did try to talk to him, so I want to apologize for that. It'd be cool to get a lesson. Here you go.
Study everything blues, jazz, rock. Favorite genre is metal. My favorite band is probably System of a Down.
Cool. Well, I was a band nerd through school. Did marching band, orchestra band, concert band. I was in garage bands, ska bands, rock bands. I just want to play and have fun, and I'm having a great time right now. So, yeah.
And we're having a great time getting to know you guys more. I know you have new music on the horizon. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what's to come?
Of course, yeah. So Bone Dry Records is going to drop a record called Play Happy. A lot of these songs were written during the COVID time when we were locked up, and me and Ethan were in the back bedroom doing recording studio stuff. But there's a new record after that coming out, and it's going to have all kinds of new powerful stuff, a lot more melodies and harmonies and stuff like that, a lot more backup singing, I'm hoping. But the future's bright.
What have been some highlights for you so far as a band? Any places you've played or any favorite memories you've had together as a group?
Of course, yeah. Playing the 420 Bank really evolved the band. They gave us 1 gig a month, and it made us a lot better, I think. There was no pay, so that was a little frustrating, but, we knocked it out. It got the band better. Also, the Hood out in Palm Desert, they've been always really super nice to us, and, if everybody knows the desert, that's where it all really started, you guys. So please support the Hood and show them a good time. Other than that, we're about to play Little Street Music. We're opening up for some band from Australia. I can't remember their name. No, I'll look it up.
Yeah.
But so we're excited about that. That's going to be a good gig. We're also playing we're spreading out a little bit. So we're playing Froggies up in Apple Valley, and we're trying to get out there. Yeah.
Awesome. So kind of going back to your process and how you write music, is there a kind of way that you guys collaborate together as a band, or is it different with every song that you make together?
Well, to tell you the truth, I try to shorten bridges is the way that Skitzo Attack does it, right? So it can be a little confusing showing new artists how we do it, but once they get the hang of it, it's got its own little hook, right? So, but the next record that's coming up is going to be a collaboration between all of us. So there's always already an awesome song written by Tyler. There's also good songs written by Ethan, and we're working on Mr. Olson's vocals because he's got it. So, yeah. You want to say something about that?
No, I'm happy.
Okay.
Y'all are good. Well, you guys mesh so well together as a group, and I really enjoy talking with you, and I know that our listeners will enjoy watching as well.
Yeah.
Where can people find your music?
You could find us in lots of places. You can find us on Facebook, the SoundCloud. You can find us on soon to be Spotify and Apple Music. Bone Dry Records is going to be getting that going soon. First of all, the CDs will come out, and they're pretty cool. They got a nice record company stuff behind them. So pretty much YouTube. We got a bunch of stuff on YouTube. Just all the regular platforms to check us out. And if there's ever a question of where or who we want to play with, you can just hit us up. Probably on Facebook is the best. And we'll play for you.
Yeah, the music will be released on all the platforms within a month.
Oh, within a month too.
Yeah, within a month. The album's done. He's putting it out right now. It takes a few weeks for it to pass all the channels.
And hopefully he'll be able to give you guys a couple
You'll
copies
hear
of it.
Spotify and Pandora and stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So a lot of exciting things to come.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, you guys, for letting Coachella Valley Weekly Podcast invade your studio and listen to you practice. You guys are awesome. And stay tuned for what's next with Skitzo Attack.
The Roost is a vibrant and welcoming gathering place nestled in the heart of Cathedral City. Since 2019, they've been proud to serve as a hub for locals and visitors alike, offering a cozy and lively atmosphere where everyone feels at home. With live music for all, including piano and open mic night, The Roost is a great place to see live entertainment and meet the community.
She comes as a butterfly.
I would like to thank Chris Miller for stopping by the studio today to talk to us. I would also like to thank Skitzo Attack and Crystal Harrell for doing the interview out on the scene with them. And of course, our episode sponsor, Desert Fox Bar, and our advertisers, Mojave Gold and The Roost. And of course, I got to thank Phil behind the camera and Kurt, our editor, that puts everything together for us. And I also want everybody to go to CoachellaValleyWeekly.com and check out the pet page, and please adopt an animal. And thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate you tuning in every week. And that's a wrap.